So today we'll be taking a look at the latest with CM Punk, Liv Morgan, and more. For today's question of the day, what is the first match you'd like to see from CM Punk in AEW? Let's start things off with Liv Morgan because she's someone that a lot of fans are discussing right now, mostly due to her absence. Liv Morgan has not made a single WWE appearance since Money in the Bank, going on 4 weeks now. Smackdown is a 2-hour show. Obviously, you're not going to have enough time for everyone to be featured on the show every week. We get that. We understand that. It's WWE. Nothing really makes sense most of the time. Stories and pushes stop and go all the time. It's just chaos. Everyone gets that. But for Liv Morgan to go MIA just made things a bit weird and hard to understand. Liv Morgan was forced to go solo after the unexpected release of her tag team partner, Ruby Riott. Liv and Ruby had their eyes set on the tag team titles, but when Ruby was released, Liv had no choice but to enter singles competition. And just days after Ruby's release, Liv was on SmackDown wrestling Carmella and was given the underdog story of fighting and climbing to get into the Money in the Bank match. You have the entire narrative of Sonya Deville and WWE management overlooking her and giving Money in the Bank spots to people like Zelina Vega, who haven't been seen in WWE for months. So it was a nice little story for Liv. Here's this babyface underdog that's defeating former champion Carmella, defeating the returning Zelina Vega, going on this hot streak, and eventually earning her spot into the Money in the Bank match. Then, of course, you had that Talking Smack interview in front of the crowd back in July, where they were going absolutely crazy for Liv Morgan. That crowd reaction even made Liv Morgan emotional, right on the spot. And the reason why Liv Morgan was one of the favorites to win the Money in the Bank contract in the first place was because she was really the only one in that match that had a great story, had a great narrative heading into that match. The rest of the women in the Money in the Bank just had no story for this match. Even the winner of the match, Nikki Ash, didn't have that much of a narrative leading into the match. Sure, Nikki was an underdog as well, but Liv just seemed to have the better overall story there that was building up for so many weeks prior to Money in the Bank. So, what did WWE do with Liv Morgan after Money in the Bank? How did they capitalize on her amazing fan reaction and great underdog story? Well, she hasn't been seen not one time since she competed in the actual Money in the Bank match itself. And it hasn't gone unnoticed. Liv Morgan fans and other fans have definitely brought it to everyone's attention online. Some fans even creating missing posters with Liv Morgan's face on them. There's no news of anything injury related right now with Liv Morgan. So the safe guess is that it's a creative issue. There's nothing for her right now, which again is so strange and such a big deal considering everything that she had going on for herself before Money in the Bank. She was fighting back against Sonya Deville, had a small feud with Carmella, really went back and forth with Zelina Vega for a few weeks, and of course the fan reaction to her was growing by the week. Really felt like maybe Liv was finally starting to be used in a great way. But the ball seems to be dropped once again. Building so much story and momentum for someone like that only to completely ignore her existence a few weeks later is what really eliminates someone's momentum. Instead of picking up from that great narrative that they already had going, it sort of feels like they have to start over the longer that they're away. Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair will be the main event seen in the SmackDown women's division for at least the rest of the summer. But you still have Carmella and Zelina Vega hanging around. So why not let Liv Morgan finish what she started with those two before Money in the Bank? Maybe that can build her up and help her earn her way to the title picture. Liv Morgan has never competed for a women's championship, so she would really be a fresh new face in the title picture, which is always a great thing to see from time to time. So we'll see what ends up happening there, but a lot of fans are already on high alert with Liv Morgan's lengthy WWE absence. It's going to be a busy couple months coming up for CM Punk. CM Punk is set to make his AEW debut later this month, and not only that, but he's also featured in the new wrestling-based series, Heels, with Stephen Amell. Punk will be making a cameo appearance in the show. All of Punk's signature tattoos were also covered with makeup for this character that he's playing in the show. So fans were also reacting to the non-tattooed version of CM Punk that no one is really used to seeing, so that caused some discussion. But Heels won't be the only place to see CM Punk back inside the ring. He's obviously set to debut for AEW. Member of the WWE Hall of Fame and iconic figure in the wrestling industry, Eric Bischoff recently spoke with Punk's AEW debut on his podcast and gave advice to AEW on how to use him. He had this to say when discussing Punk in AEW. In the short term, it's going to have a major impact because I think a lot of fans that are WWE fans are going to sample AEW, who perhaps haven't sampled AEW yet. Punk could be the solution and the silver bullet, because if WWE audience crosses over to sample it because of a guy like CM Punk, provided you're able to hold them and give them something they're committed to in the long term, then yes, I think it can have a pretty substantial impact on market share. I wouldn't put him in a hot angle right away. I would want to continue to build on the successful anticipation element that AEW has built upon. I wouldn't drag it out for 6 months, but I like the idea of Punk, especially because he can talk, coming in on commentary, stirring it up, and building upon that for a couple of weeks, and then eventually have a spontaneous, combustible moment, and that leads to a wrestling storyline. That's probably what I would do, not because Punk needs to acclimate or ring rust. Those things can all be addressed. So Eric's advice to AEW is to take it slow with Punk at first, just to continue to thrive off all that anticipation and hype, and just drain as much as you can out of it, which is a great point. Obviously, Punk isn't coming in fighting for the world title, so if you stretch it out a bit, you can probably keep newer fans coming back every week, just to see what Punk is up to now, and if he'll wrestle or get physical this week or next week, and just get that hype going. Not for too long, but for the amount of time that just feels right. Milk as much as you can out of CM Punk, and then maybe Daniel Bryan will follow right after that. Bray Wyatt is also freed from his 90-day no-compete clause on October 29th. Bray obviously isn't signed with AEW yet, but just assuming he was to sign with AEW, you can have Punk dominate September and majority of October, and then you got Bray coming in for early November. So if this turns out to be true, it's going to be a very exciting time on AEW, and they will have a lot of eyes on them if these big names do end up landing over there. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.